And we are live. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this segment in The Devil's in the Details. As Deb Johnson and Suzanne Chambers Yates of Divorce Center of Colorado are committed to changing the way that our society divorces. DRCC believes it is possible to divorce peacefully and to design a healthy post-divorce family. And you can learn more about DRCC at drcofcolorado.com. Ladies, tell us about today's segment.
Thank you, Megan. And hi, everyone. Good afternoon. And we're just so glad that you're here with us again this Friday afternoon. Today, we're going to be exploring the very deep question that so many people contemplating divorce face. Should I stay or should I go? It's very deep.
It's very deep.
And before I forget, I want to mention, if you weren't able to be with us last week where we talked about, can I divorce in a global pandemic? Please visit our website because that video has been posted there. So
yep. Just go to divorceresourcecenter.com/blog. And I would love to know from you, Deb and Suzanne, what are some of those considerations that those contemplating divorce should anticipate as they're weighing their options, whether they should stay married or get divorced?
Well, there are really both emotional and financial considerations to the major life decision of divorce. So I think sometimes the difficulty is with the decision of whether to stay or whether to go rests a lot with the distinction between being unprepared, which of course means not ready to handle something or deal with it, and afraid, which basically the definition of is they're unwilling or reluctant to do something for fear of the consequences. So today, first, I'd like to take a look at the emotional considerations that we need to address as we're going through the process or contemplating the divorce process. And I'd like to ask Suzanne to share some of her thoughts with us on the emotional piece of it. Suzanne?
Great, yeah. You know, Deb and Megan, we all know that contemplating ending a marriage can be filled with contradictory emotions. No one can tell you whether your marriage is viable or not. It really is an individual decision. It's difficult to take the first step towards deciding which path to take concerning your marriage, but making informed decisions is absolutely imperative. When people are afraid, they tend to bury their heads in the sand, ignoring the question and do nothing. Others, being unprepared, are hasty. They don't think through and they end up with unintended consequences. You can begin to gain courage and get prepared by exploring both paths, staying married and getting divorced. You can gain important insights when you think through both scenarios. Additionally, spending time thinking about what you want in your life is an important starting point. I suggest that people use the acronym BEYOND, like the word beyond, to get started in sorting out this difficult question. In BEYOND, B is breathe. Stopping and taking a breath reminds us that we are competent adults who've tackled a lot of different difficult situations in our lives. It also reminds us that we need to engage our neocortex, so our reptilian brain, the fight, flight, or freeze mode doesn't take over. That's really important. That gets us out of that brain that tends to make us make reactive decisions and into our thinking brain. E is explore. Spend time exploring both paths. I know that sounds a little counterintuitive, but by exploring what your life would look like, either staying or divorcing, and looking at 5-10 years from now what you want, that helps you think through barriers, reasons for staying or divorcing. What do you really want in your life? Spend time exploring that in a non-judgmental way. Just let yourself maybe imagine, because a lot of insights and issues will come to mind during that time. The U and beyond is your self-care. That's really important. This emotional juncture can be draining. Make sure that you're investing in your well-being on a daily basis. That will help you not get to a point of overload or overwhelm. O for organize. Organize your thoughts. Write them down so you can communicate them clearly as the need arises. You can organize a list of questions that you have and information that you're going to need or that you think of that you need. and is necessary. Find the necessary qualified professionals who can answer your questions and provide you with the information that you need. There are certified divorce financial analysts, certified divorce coaches. Certified divorce financial analysts can answer questions about financial. The divorce coaches can answer information about how do you think through this process, attorneys, the legal questions, and therapists, your well-being, peace of mind, how you talk to your spouse, your children. And D, finally, and beyond, is direction. Create a plan in the direction that you decide. Break down this plan into doable steps. By using this acronym, it's been helpful to people getting started in how they sort through and think through their emotions and thoughts regarding this question of should I stay or should I go?
That's a really helpful acronym, Suzanne, that people can remember easily. And it's a great way for people to think beyond this difficult choice, because a lot of times it can be a stressful time, and keeping that level-headedness is difficult. So Deb, could you share with us some of the financial considerations that surround this heavy decision?
Certainly. First, I'd like to say that it's perfectly normal to feel stuck in your reptilian brain or to feel fearful of what life after divorce is going to look like financially. Please know it's mostly the fear of the unknown. For instance, it's very frightening to be uncertain about where you will be living. To think of giving up the family home where perhaps you decorated the home, you've raised your family, it's situated on a beautiful cul-de-sac where the kids are safe playing outside with the neighbors. There's also the fear of not being able to support yourself or your children. The fear of not being able to get a job or to get a career going or to be able to make it through retraining that may be necessary to step back into the workforce. It's like this, how much do I need to make? And we can help answer all of those questions. And then, of course, there's divorce after 50. And that brings with it many additional, I'd have to say, difficult considerations that have to be taken into account. I mean, divorce is happening just short while retirement is looming, and those two are going to collide. When we get divorced in our 30s or 40s, we've got 25, 35 years to rebuild and work toward financial security and retirement. But when we're 50 and older, it's a whole different picture. And that's why, in my view, it's very important to work with someone that has a financial background, that perhaps was a financial or is a financial advisor, where we can look at the future and say, well, these are the potential outcomes that you're faced with. And then, of course, there's those thoughts that are continually swirling around our mind all day long. And when we stop to think about what we're thinking about, should I stay or should I go? And then comes nighttime, where all the different scenarios, the financial what ifs, keep looping through your mind, creating this giant morass that keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And, it turns into this giant monster, creating, I think, additional stress. And personally, I think financial stress is one of the most difficult stresses to deal with. It's hard on us. So I suggest to clients that oftentimes use this time when, you're starting over. It's like a brand new, fresh start. But think about things like where you do see yourself living post-divorce. I rely on visualization a lot because it really helps bring clarity to me. But think about some things such as, do you want to stay in the family home? If you do, what's it going to take to make that happen? Or is it time to downsize from the family home? Maybe it's time to consider a retirement community, or you're ready to retire and lock and leave to travel. Of course, if we ever get to travel again, that is. But maybe it's time for a patio home, no stairs. We've got to pay attention to our health as people are getting divorced in the later years. I often hear from clients, they say, I want to stay in the in our home. There's no reason I couldn't. He'd have to pay less maintenance because the payment's so low. I can't rent anything or buy anything where I'd have this low payment. Very good point. That's very, very true. But the question is, can you afford the upkeep, the exterior, the interior? Can you afford to take care of all the deferred maintenance that could be looming there in the basement, the garage, the electrical panel? And I suggest too that consider it a stepping stone to the next stage of life. And like we're told over and over again, when the death of a spouse occurs, you don't make any critical financial decisions for a year. And I feel that's true too in divorce. So it's good to work to get your plan together and then to lay your plan out in steps so that you can implement it as time goes on. There's a few other financial considerations I wanted to share too that may be keeping you up at night. The first is health insurance. That comes up in every case. And there's this misconception that, oh, I'll just stay on my husband's employer plan. It's good, the kids are covered. You can't do that. That's considered insurance fraud. And so you've got to start looking at what is your health situation? What kind of coverage do you need? And there's more than just the cost. There are the deductibles, there's the co-insurance, there's the co-pay. Then we've got our property casualty insurance to deal with. That's auto and homeowners. And a lot of people don't realize that we get a good discount, like 25% discount for auto and home or multi-car when we bundle with an insurance carrier. And 25% can make a big difference when we're talking about creating a realistic, forward-looking spending plan. Then life insurance. And I hear so often, well, we don't have life insurance. We don't need life insurance. And that's really true. The need for life insurance changes and evolves as our life changes and evolves. But one of the things that's overlooked so often in divorce is life insurance. There's the two types. One's an asset, one isn't. But what's going to happen if, God forbid, but the proverbial payer of family support gets hit by the bus, not the proverbial payer, the proverbial bus, then the rug's yanked out from under the family. So that's something that's very critical that I always look for, is that we've got to have, and life insurance is an economical way to collateralize a support obligation. And right along those lines are the disability insurance issues. Disability insurance is expensive, and so it's not always possible. But as divorce financial analysts, when we work with people through, these are all areas that we discuss, and they're all areas that get researched, and we have a real clear picture of what it's going to look like once the divorce is final. And while the term's overused, knowledge is power. It's really true. Clients have told us that once they start working with us, they do see how the fear of the unknown's alleviated. When we get it on paper, when it's in black and white, it's a lot easier to deal with. But anyway, we're going to go into great detail on the financial independence and things that people need to know ahead of getting divorced as it relates to the finances. And we'll be dealing with that in our Friday segment, the 22nd of May, and also the 29th of May. And we hope you'll join us for those.
I can definitely see, Deb, how the financial considerations around this decision of divorcing or not really are objective, and how they definitely go hand in hand with the emotional considerations, and that both have to be addressed equally, and both are equally as important as one another.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's exactly right. Both emotional and the financial, they're intermingled. They're all part of it, and they have to be addressed to be able to untangle all of the finances and all of the emotions that have gotten commingled during the years of a marriage. I mentioned earlier disability insurance and life insurance. And one of the things that's important to us as financial advisors or divorce financial analysts is that we do address all of the possible contingencies that could happen post-divorce. And, you know, I always use the analogy of, I look at divorce as this big fireworks display, and our responsibility is to watch where all those sparks and embers are going to land out there, so that post-divorce people are not faced with dealing, you know, with back in mediation, or having to hire lawyers, or to go back and fix something that wasn't caught. And sometimes it's not fixable, you know, when we have some issues where, you know, the ink's dry and your settlement is done. That's it. So I think it's important that we do make sure every stone is overturned in helping you plan for it. So, you know, despite the feeling of not being prepared or full of fear, I really see how working with us, we can help bring the financial future into focus. We can help bring your emotions into check, you know, where we start planning for what the future is going to look like with the kids. And, you know, you're going to be making some of the most critical financial decisions and decisions about your family that you've made in your lifetime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the emotional component and financial component can feel completely overwhelming. But you can work with us here at DRCC for divorce financial analysis, divorce coaching, divorce mediation. We're here to hear your story and what you need and answer your questions. So feel free to reach out to us at DRCC with any questions you have. You can email or give a call. We have Sarah on the phone. It's quite lovely, and can connect you with Deb and I through Calendly or email. You can schedule a 20-minute complimentary consultation so you can dispel that fear and get prepared emotionally and financially. Or if you prefer, we do offer a 90-minute in-depth consultation regarding your financial picture for $250.
Well, that wraps up today's segment. We hope that if you're contemplating divorce, some of these ideas will help you decide whether you should stay or whether you should go. So thanks again for sharing some of your Friday afternoon with us. And we hope that you tune in next week. The topic is going to be weighing your divorce options and choosing the right one for you and your family. So we hope that you guys all have a great weekend. Please stay safe and healthy, and we'll see you next Friday. Take care.
And thanks, everyone. Please visit drcofcolorado.com, and you can see the click schedule a consultation button on the front at the home page right there, or you can give us a call at 303-468-5626. Thank you all, and have a wonderful weekend.